Hi, come with me to make cinnamon rolls. I am using the Violet Bakery cookbook recipe. I've made these rolls multiple times and everybody in my family absolutely adores them. I slightly tweak the recipe by adding cloves and vanilla, but this recipe just is so good. It doesn't have icing. You can add icing to it, but I personally don't because the rolls by themselves are really delicious. Right now, I am mixing brown sugar and cinnamon for the filling. The brown sugar is really lumpy. I guess I don't keep it dry enough, but you're supposed to grind it all up and make it not lumpy, but I don't do that here. I just do that later whenever I add it to the rolls. I just unclump the clumps with my hands. For the rolls, I'm using flour, baking powder, and spices, which is cardamom and cloves. Yeah, honestly, not a lot of ingredients here. There's also salt that I put in here. But then what you want to do is you want to take a cup and a tablespoon of cold butter. So that's what that little chunk is, just a tablespoon. But it has to be really cold, so I left it in the fridge until this moment. But yeah, a lot of butter cutting, so sped it up here for you so you don't have to watch all that. Yeah, honestly, I haven't been baking for a bit, so I decided to video myself doing this, hopefully to get myself baking more. I really like baking. I used to do it all the time way back when, and then life got busy, stopped, but I really was craving these cinnamon rolls. So here we are. A lot of butter, honestly, which any baked good needs lots of butter, but a lot of butter just keeps going. Yep, still going. Okay, finally done. Woo! Yeah, add that in there. Remember, make sure it is cold butter. Cold butter is the only way it'll work. Then you're gonna mix it all up with a paddle attachment. I put it on medium speed, so it goes for quite a long time, as you can see by this recording, because it's going to be mixing for a while. But whenever it has made a coarser meal, then you're going to add milk to it in small amounts. But the milk also should be cold. Oh, I am adding some cinnamon to the rolls. I just feel that it adds dimension to the rolls. Not that they weren't already good, because they are really good by themselves, but the addition of cinnamon just ties in the cinnamon roll theme throughout. Here I am adding that milk just a little bit at a time, not all at once. Also, the milk has to be cold. I think I may have said that. I don't know. But butter and milk have to stay cold. Oh gosh, this is kind of taking forever. But whenever you're actually baking, it doesn't seem as long. You know? Yeah, the rolls are gonna kind of pull away. That I just added vanilla there. Adds some more pizzazz to the rolls. Pretty sure the recipe doesn't have as much vanilla as I put in, but whatever. Garlic and vanilla are the same. It doesn't really matter how much the recipe calls for, you always have to add more. Obviously, I'm not adding garlic to the cinnamon rolls, but you know what I mean. In cooking, you add more garlic than you need, and in baking, you add more vanilla than you need. I feel like that's a pretty standard rule. Then whenever the dough is finished, you're going to lightly flour a surface. I know I kind of have a lot of flour out right now, but I'm gonna move it all out of the way and then not use the majority of it. So, food wasted, yay. But once you get the dough out of here, you're gonna let it rest for some time. So you wanna plop it out, let it rest for a couple minutes, and then you're gonna fold it over like twice and then let it rest for 10 minutes. So right now I'm just getting it off the paddle, which is always so hard, but whatever. So yeah, after this, you're just gonna let it rest for a bit. And I show you 10 fingers to let you know that it's 10 minutes that you need to let it rest. Obviously. And here I go, moving more flour out of the way. As I told you, it's just, you need to lightly flour it. I always try to flour more than I need. But now you are going to roll this dough out into a rectangle. Wow, surprise. You need to be able to roll your rolls. Yeah, this kind of takes a while. Whenever I was actually doing it, I thought it took maybe 30 seconds, but it takes a long time to roll all this out. Actually, yeah, so. But it's a good stress reliever. You can just let all your anger out on your rolls if you have any. I didn't really, but if I did, this would have been a good way to get it out. It doesn't need to be too thick or too thin. It just kind of needs to be medium. I would say probably a quarter of an inch, less than a quarter of an inch thick. But what I mainly go for is just a large rectangular shape that I think is going to make enough rolls. These rolls are going in muffin tins. I don't think I mentioned that. So that's the size that you're going for here. I know I keep picking up the dough and moving it around, but that's just so I can get more flour under it so it doesn't really stick to the countertop as much. Then I'm just trying to make it more rectangular so I have less waste. Not that I really have any waste. Whatever I cut off, because it doesn't look super aesthetic, I still bake and it still tastes good. Sometimes it gets burnt because it's smaller, so the baking time is different, but yep, still eat it. Here I am adding melted butter. I melted this a while ago and it stayed melted, which I kind of thought it would solidify, but it did not. Hoorah. But yeah, now I'm actually crunching up the little pieces of brown sugar as I'm adding them. Yep. I'm doing this in segments because I don't want the butter to solidify. It doesn't really solidify, but whenever you spread it thin, it condenses faster. Is condensed the right word? Who knows? But I just do it in sections so I don't run the risk of the sugar not sticking to the dough. And that end is where I am going to be rolling from. So I am making sure that the center of the roll has filling. Whereas at the end of the roll, I don't really mind if I don't get the filling all the way to the edge of the dough. But from the rolling end, I do want to make sure that I have plenty of sugar in the middle. And I'm not sure how much butter the recipe calls for, but I would suggest getting a little bit more than what it says, just because you run a little low towards the end depending on how much you use up front. And come on, butter in cinnamon rolls is not gonna hurt you, you know? Maybe if you can't have butter, but then you shouldn't be making these. So, this is kind of taking a while. Enjoy some complimentary background noise. Ooh, 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 la. You're welcome. Okay, I kind of changed the angle. Who cares? The rolls are done. I didn't show me rolling them up or cutting it up because I ran out of storage, so sorry about that. But here are the finished rolls. They should slide out of the muffin tin pretty easily if you buttered it correctly, which you just put butter in. Bye.